Christopher Plummer and Julie Andrews are forever linked to one of Hollywood's most beloved films, The Sound of Music. On screen, their chemistry was undeniable. The stern Captain von Trapp softened by Maria's warmth and charm. A love story that has touched audiences for nearly 6 decades. But behind the scenes, the reality was far more complicated. Plummer, known for his sharp honesty, later admitted that his feelings toward Andrews during filming were anything but affectionate. To understand why one of the greatest actors of his generation bristled at working alongside the woman adored worldwide for her talent and grace, we have to go back to 1964, when the cameras first rolled in Salzburg. At the time, Julie Andrews was fresh from her Academy Award-winning performance in Mary Poppins. Only 29 years old, she was already the embodiment of Hollywood's golden age. Praised for her pristine soprano voice, her discipline, and her image of near-perfect wholesomeness. Christopher Plummer, just a few years older, had earned respect in theater circles and appeared in several films, but he had yet to achieve global recognition. From the very beginning, he struggled with The Sound of Music. Privately, he mocked it as The Sound of Mucus, finding the script overly sentimental, and the role of Captain von Trapp painfully flat. Compared to the Shakespearean roles he loved, the stiff military father felt like a caricature. While Andrews embraced the production with her endless cheer and positivity, Plummer found her unrelenting niceness suffocating, once quipping that working with her was like being hit over the head with a Valentine's card every day. To cope, Plummer turned to alcohol. He admitted that during filming he often drank heavily, especially during the long shoots in Austria. In fact, he later confessed he was drunk during the climactic festival scene when Captain von Trapp defiantly sings with his children. To audiences, it was stirring. To him, it was a blur. Off-camera, he frequented Austrian bars and occasionally brought along Charmian Carr, the young actress who played Liesel, though Carr insisted years later that her admiration for him never became anything more. His drinking created headaches for the production team, with costume designers complaining that his fluctuating weight made it difficult to fit his uniforms. Behind the polished image of the finished film, Plummer was restless and dissatisfied, caught between his own artistic standards and a project he considered shallow. Part of his frustration came from the story itself. Plummer knew the film's narrative was a romanticized version of the Von Trapp family's real history. In reality, Maria admitted she married Georg not out of passion, but because she loved the children and felt it was God's will. The real Captain von Trapp, far from the cold disciplinarian on screen, was remembered by his children as affectionate and kind. Even the dramatic mountain escape was Hollywood invention. In truth, the family simply boarded a train to Italy. For Plummer, playing a one-dimensional figure in a sugar-coated story only deepened his disdain. And yet, when the film premiered in 1965, it became an instant sensation. It soared to the top of the box office, went on to win 5 Academy Awards, and became the highest-grossing film of its era. For audiences, it was magic. For Julie Andrews, it was another triumph that cemented her as the queen of musical cinema. But for Christopher Plummer, it was a role he could never quite escape. Even decades later, long after winning his own Academy Award in 2011, he was still asked about Captain von Trapp. He often bristled, admitting he found the film gooey and overly sentimental, lamenting that this was the performance he would forever be remembered for. Time, however, softened his view, though he never fully embraced The Sound of Music. Plummer later admitted that it had become far larger than him, a cultural touchstone that defined generations. Most importantly, his relationship with Julie Andrews transformed. What began as irritation with her constant kindness eventually blossomed into a genuine, lifelong friendship. Andrews consistently praised him, crediting him with giving the film its grounding strength, while Plummer, in his later years, called her not only an extraordinary actress, but also a dear friend. Their bond endured until his death in 2021, when Andrews released a heartfelt tribute, calling him a cherished friend and remembering the humor and joy they shared. Christopher Plummer may have loathed The Sound of Music, but his performance remains unforgettable, and his uneasy relationship with Julie Andrews, once marked by tension, became one of Hollywood's most enduring friendships, proof that even behind a story wrapped in sugar and song, real connections can last a lifetime.